The business world is evolving at a rapid pace, and it has become essential for organizations to upgrade to more modern practices. Our next set of panelists are industry experts who will share their insights on the topic, Roadmap from Traditional to Digital Marketing. Please help me introduce our next session's moderators. I have Ms. Carol Bettencourt, Vice President of Marketing at Chyron. Up next, I have our panelists. I have a Mr. Brian Sikorski. I hope I pronounced it right. I also have Ms. Sunny Dublick, CEO of Sunny Dublick Marketing. And then last but not least, I also have Cindy Chiayin. All right, HSU advisor and concert producer at C&D Studios and AGP Agency, New York. Please put your hands together for our wonderful panelists. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for that introduction, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. So far, I've had a great day and a half, and I'm looking forward to rounding it out with this presentation and then hearing from some more of you. We are here right now to talk about the journey from traditional to digital marketing, and I think everyone has a general understanding of traditional being simply those non-digital things, the assets that we create for print, the things that you might see on billboards, the things that come in your actual mailbox delivered by an actual mail person, a caller on a telephone, those kinds of non-digital things versus social media, emailing, and other digital types of communication and assets. So I think we're going to start just by introducing ourselves one by one and just top of mind considerations. I know we have some considerations around tactics, around what actually it means to be digital. So we'll just start with an introduction and each person sharing some of their initial thoughts. Brian, would you like to start?
Oh, sure. My name is Brian Sikorski, and I have been working as a marketing person in the world of nonprofits for eons, it feels like. And in the world of nonprofits, it's kind of tough to market when you have limited budgets of nonprofit organizations. I like to joke that, we rub pennies together to make nickels. And I left, the last few places I was at was the Orlando Fringe, the International Fringe Theater Festival, which is the longest running one in the United States, and I was their first ever full-time marketing person. Left there, went to Central Florida Community Arts, the largest arts nonprofit in Central Florida. And since leaving Florida a few months ago, I've decided to start my own business. So now focused solely on marketing assistance for not only nonprofits, but individual artists and small businesses.
Great. Sunny?
Hi, my name is Sunny Dublick, and I am the founder and CEO of Sunny Dublick Marketing, which is founded on the belief of being able to have a no bullshit approach to marketing. I think that right now we focus a lot on tactics, and a lot of times strategy gets lost in the mix. So when I created my business, I had bounced around in the Philadelphia ad agency scene for about 10 years, and I saw just a really big gap between the potential to marry strategy with just expert execution for a truly like successful marketing program. So I focus on brand strategy, marketing planning, and fractional CMO services. And I'm so excited to be here today because my career really got started in traditional marketing. I worked actually for gaming and hospitality, casinos more specifically, doing billboards and print ads and direct mailers is my first job out of college. From there I transitioned into marketing research and digital marketing, and I think it's really fascinating to me to see where we've come, how far we've come, and kind of where we're going. So.
Yeah, great. And Cindy, you have a sort of non-traditional path into the marketing world. Do you want to share with us who you are and what you're about?
Sure. So I'm Cindy Chiayin. I'm a classical music producer, and what that means, I basically work with classical pianists, and I do the business management on their behalf, which includes like producing their concerts, releasing their albums, and actually last month we had our most exciting projects where I'm not sure there's any soccer fans here, but we actually were working on the Istanbul UEFA Champions League opening ceremony last month. And coming up next, at the end of the year, we have a classical piano competition at Carnegie Hall in New York City. So if you guys know anybody that plays the piano, want to compete, feel free to connect with me after the speech. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And my own path into marketing has been non-traditional as well. I'm not educated in marketing. I didn't follow a traditional career path in a marketing department or a marketing agency. I came into the industry that I am in currently about 20 years ago as a technical writer, quickly became a subject matter expert, systems integrator, consultant, technology advisor to various companies in live television broadcast and the technology vendors who serve them. And about 3 years ago, I was hired by one of the leading companies in this industry to do competitive research. They liked what I was doing, and I got promoted fairly quickly to Vice President of Marketing at this company where I am now. I see content as king, and I don't just mean content in the creative sense. I mean content that comes from a real and solid knowledge of what you're doing, what you have to offer, what your competition has to offer, and what your audience, consumers, customers, clients, whoever they may be, what they want, what they need, what they might think they want, and even things they might need that they don't even know yet that they want. So I think developing that real base of knowledge, to me, that's the foundation. And then when we chat about traditional or digital, those are the tools, and you can use any tools, and even going beyond what we consider traditional today. At one point, there was a town crier or signals with stones in a path. There's always been a way for humans to get the word out to other humans that we want you to do something. But I think the key to making it compelling is understanding what you're all about. So moving on from some of those thoughts, another thing that I'm passionate about is what I call democratization of power, democratization of, in my field, broadcast. In our discussion today, in terms of digital especially, democratization of marketing. We have so many tools at our disposal that today you don't have to be a multi-millionaire to start a business. You don't have to have tons of backers to make it all work. You can do things for very little, or you can spend a lot. Going back through the line again, what advantages do we get today from digital marketing maybe that we didn't have before, and is that good?
Well, the thing that's different nowadays with digital marketing, as everyone knows, traditional, you are stuck in that one thing. If you wanted to make a change to the campaign, if you wanted to change the art or anything like that, there was a huge process. You can't just take it back from a newspaper or a magazine. You can yank a TV commercial, sure, but once those bits of collateral have been made, you're stuck with it. And if you want to redo, that's where you're going to have a lot of extra expenses. But with digital, if something's not working, it's just a click away to get rid of it and change it to something else.
Yeah, and I know you work with a lot of nonprofits. Mm-hmm. So does that flexibility or just the general ease of doing things digitally, does that help in a nonprofit, small budget?
Oh, certainly, yeah. Because mainly in the world of nonprofits, it's actually rare to see someone that handles marketing on a regular basis. Usually it's their development person who is in charge of raising funds for the nonprofit, and they also will handle some marketing on the side because that's the best way for them to make money. So to actually have a marketing person at a nonprofit is pretty rare unless it's a pretty large one. So if someone has to share the workload of marketing, digital, it just takes less time. It's most of the stuff is self-service as well. Yeah. Whereas you don't have to go through an agency or a rep with another company. You can just log into something and create whatever you need.
Right. On the other hand, though, just because social is free, are all of the tools around social free or as cheap as they used to be? And I know, Sunny, you have some thoughts about about that.
Yeah, so, social in itself is still, at this point, a free medium and a free resource to use, and I think it's great, especially from a small business owner perspective. You had talked a little bit about the democratization of digital marketing, because now, as a small business owner, it's easily accessible for you to be able to create your own Instagram page, start growing your audience, everything like that. But especially when we talk about ads, I think one of the big kind of pitfalls that I see a lot of people fall into is that they just want to throw everything into digital ads. And I always say this, if everybody is going left in marketing, why don't we try to go right? This might not be the place for you if you're in such a crowded marketplace that nobody's really seeing your ad and distinguishing it, because it is more expensive than ever, arguably. So in terms of just budgets and everything like that, I say to clients often that if you don't have at least $1,000 to spend a month on meta advertising, you're basically wasting your money, just because of the way that things are working and the way that things have shifted. So even though it used to be like, pennies basically to boost a post and sponsor a post, the results just aren't there as much anymore. So I think that there is an inherent just problem in us looking at digital marketing in and of itself and saying that this is the solution for us and for all things.
So it's not as cheap as it used to be.
No.
You do have to spend more, but if you spend more, and I know, Cindy, you had some thoughts about this, if you spend more, is that the answer, or are you looking for some other metric than just, I spent a lot of money, so I must be doing something?
Actually, I think at Sunny's point, she's absolutely, unless you have a big budget to spend on like paid ads, don't bother spending it, because the social media market is so noisy, the social media world is so noisy right now. If you spend $10 on an ad, nobody's going to see it. So to answer your question, where it's actually, is it good to have digital marketing nowadays, or not, I actually think it is, because as Sunny said, it's quite easy for a small business to put together a video, put together a post to put on their social media and potentially get customers. However, it's not absolutely free. I do kind of specialize in social media marketing in the agency. I help some of the artists manage their personal brand and grow their Instagram audience to, I think there's a few accounts that's over 10,000 right now. However, that's not free either, even though we didn't do any paid ads. There's money being spent on production of the videos, money spent on production of the photo shoot to make your picture, your video look actually nice and people want to click through. That's going to cost money. So it's not money spent on marketing, but for our agency, we spend a lot more money on the production of the material we put online.
That makes sense. If it's not worth looking at, it doesn't matter how many people see it.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Okay. And I think a point that Brian made earlier was the agility that we get from digital is a good thing. But I know that there's maybe some caveats around that. Does anybody want to pick up on when maybe we shouldn't change quickly?
I think, well, I just want to say it's such a good point about quality on digital marketing, because I think some people think, I can do this, so I just should put out all of the things, and it's like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yes.
But I think there's, we talk about metrics a lot, and we talk about reporting a lot, especially in digital marketing, right? Because that's one of the main benefits of it. You can see what you're getting in return. That is awesome. However, I think a lot of people take that data and they get so excited, well, I haven't had 10 sales after spending, $100, so we need to change this, we need to change that. Digital takes time, especially ads. A lot of digital is a slow burn. And I'm actually working with a client now, and it's like within the first 30 days, and they want to yank all of the LinkedIn ads that we've set up. And it's one of those things where you have to really be able to step back. This is going to take at least 90 days to learn.
Yeah.
And then once you learn, you have to adjust. And I think that there is a sense it's so easy to change, but it shouldn't always be. You shouldn't change the second that you're concerned. You need to understand why it's not working.
So things take time, and We've been chatting a lot about things that I think we would consider top of funnel, just putting a message out there on social, getting that initial demand gen going, or trying to generate those leads that we can then continue to market to. But how would we speak to some of the advantages of digital over traditional, or maybe traditional over digital, as we go down lower in the funnel? Once we've got that attention, once we've made that good content and made those decisions and made that ad spend or not, where do we go from there once we've got the attention? How do we go lower in the funnel?
I would say you don't ever want to keep somebody on your social platforms alone, right? You've got to get them off of those platforms because they may not be around forever. You know, the stuff that's going on right now with Twitter and Facebook and Threads and all these things, it's constantly changing. The goal should be, yeah, you want to increase your followers and your impressions that you're getting on your digital, but you want to get that secondary action, and that action needs to be they're signing up for a newsletter or visiting your website and signing up for the product, because at that point you're going to be able to connect with those, you know, customers easier, because you're going to have their email addresses, you're going to have a way to contact them, you're not going to have to rely on what's happening on these social platforms.
Yep.
Yeah. Any further thoughts about that?
I actually disagree with that. I think we do have a website, we do have a database of like emails that we, every time we have a concert, we send it out. But however, social media is much more intimate. It's also, when you're using social media, you're speaking to an audience of, in our case, 10,000 people, sometimes more. It's much easier to, I guess, like, just have one message speaking to all, whereas if you go onto the email list, then you have to someone, you know, respond to emails, or it may take a lot more time to manage the audience base if that's done through email and website. Also, most of our customers are spending more time on their Instagram app and more time on their Facebook app, more so than on websites. So maybe it's because our customer base are different. Our customer base is much more on their phones and on computers. Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, when we're talking about getting people from like knowing us and understanding us, I think a lot of the basic premise of marketing is that people buy from people, like period, and then people that they know, like, and trust. So knowing about you is that whole kind of super top of funnel, like advertising, social media, all of that. But I think it's really getting creative and trying to better fine tune. And again, the tactic is something that we can like be creative and play with. But how do we get them to like us? How do we get them to trust us to make that ultimate action that we're asking for? And I always talk about this with customers, that we always forget about referrals. I don't know, so I have a service-based marketing practice, and my business is entirely built on referrals. And I've done the whole, like, you know, marketing funnel and sign people up for ads and emails and all of that, but ultimately nothing really resonates with people more than someone saying, I worked with Sunny and this is what happened.
Yeah.
Like, that ultimate success story is there, just like for your business as well, when people have that experience. Having that referral, I think, is so important and so undervalued when we talk about any marketing tactic.
I think you're right. I think even before we merged into the digital age, everyone knew that word of mouth is so powerful. That has long been accepted as the cheapest and possibly the best excuse me, way to promote yourself. And with digital, we have an opportunity to leverage that through referrals that we actually encourage. Do you do any video testimonials or anything like that?
Yeah, I always ask my customers at the end of kind of working together if they are willing and able, even just to do iPhone video testimonials.
Yeah.
Because I think people fall into this, like, it needs to be super professional, and it does and it doesn't. It depends on who your audience is and who you're speaking to. But if you look at a lot of modern marketing and advertising that is leveraging customer testimonials, not all of it is super spiffy. Not all of it is super scrubbed and cleaned up. And it's authentic, especially the ones that are being leveraged on social media.
Yeah.
It's really authentic. And I think people just want to understand someone else has gone through the same experience, and it's great, and that makes me more likely to want to try that. It's why people read Google reviews. It's why user-generated content is so popular. It's why, at the end of the day, people will trust that over any brand that you build, right?
I think so. And in fact, if it's less polished, it might even be more trustworthy.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely
more
true.
authentic.
Right.
And I think that's one of the positive aspects of social media, as long as it doesn't get too contentious. It is a two-way conversation. It is me talking to my friends and seeing what they have, or me talking to my customers, and they get to talk to me. It's not a one-way push. So I get a little discouraged sometimes when, and besides just the general annoyance of when you see these ads that pop up in your feed that may or may not be relevant to you, I also feel a little sad that that's what social media has come to. It's not social anymore. Social means you get to interact. So I do think there's that authenticity. In our business, which is more B2B, and it is high tech, we do a lot of case studies, and we are very very conscious to seek those out. We hold hands throughout the sales process, which is quite long for us. We have a typical 18-month sales cycle. And then once the sale is made, we follow through with the customer. People from my team will follow through. If the customer is attending a trade show where we are, we'll invite them on our booth to do an interview kind of like this, so they get to feel like they're industry experts. We hold them up. We have it recorded while we're there, and then our video editor will cut it into something that is neatly packaged, and we can put that out on our socials, we can put that on our website. So we do value that kind of content, maybe even more than what we create. I think our potential customers trust others like themselves more than they trust us who want their dollars.
And wouldn't you say that maybe social media is actually the ultimate tool of word of mouth? Because if you can get your customer to talk about you on their profile, that's usually the best way to form of marketing, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah. No, definitely. And I love too, like, when social media is done well, it is very one-to-one. I think a lot of people, I always joke, a lot of social media accounts are like standing up here and just talking about yourself for like, an hour and a half and expecting people to like it. Whereas social media done well is a conversation with the customer. And when you share likes and interests from them, when you share content that they've provided and all of that, when you encourage that for them to be a part of your brand, I do completely agree.
Yeah, it's engagement more so than marketing.
Yes.
So digital comes with, as we've mentioned several times, it comes with advantages and it comes with pitfalls. And one of those advantages is that you can quickly change a message. One of the pitfalls is things can quickly go wrong. So when things quickly go wrong, as they do on social, nothing happens slowly on social. It seems like it happens quickly. When things go wrong, and I know, Sunny, you have some specific things to say about this one, what should you do?
When things go wrong on social?
Yes.
So I think I myself am not a person who particularly likes social media. I'm up here at a marketing conference talking about how I don't like social media. But I think for me particularly, it's not something that I specialize in, but I have had several times when clients have had issues with social media and things going, awry with things that they posted, it being tone deaf, not received well, any of the above. And I think the question just has to go back to the customer. Is the point that they have relevant, right? And if not, if this is indeed like a situation that's kind of identified more as a crisis, is that something we need to respond to, and can we do that in a way that really involves them and almost uses their feedback like customer research in what is received well, what isn't received well? I know, Brian, too, you have a lot of insights on this from your work with social media.
Working for arts organizations, there's always going to be some people that are a little bit polarized by some of the things that artists do, especially, if it's an uncensored artist or what have you. Thing that pops in my mind right away is a few years ago, the organization I was with was doing a drag queen story hour, and during that time, online, someone puts a post in the event on Facebook and says, "This is disgusting. How dare you folks expose our children to people in wearing women's clothes and just not exposing themselves." And very quickly we see that comment and we post a picture of Miss Gidget Galore wearing this giant poofy puffy dog dress, and nothing in the world was exposed. You could barely even see their face. The dress was so large. And we posted the picture and I said, we appreciate your comment, but that is not exactly what's happening. And we cleared out the whole, specified what was happening and what we were seeing and how we believe that everyone is entitled to free speech. And the person then again continued on and was saying all these things. But at that point, we made our case. We said, this is why we're doing it, and this is what we believe in. when you build a fan base and you build that social network where it's actually social and people want to follow you, what the beautiful thing was, the conversation continued and we weren't part of it. All of our fans were now talking to that person and trying to educate that person and posting pictures of their kids with Miss Gidget, and it was just a really beautiful thing to see that our fans came to our defense and told that person what was what.
Yeah, and you didn't have to be part of it once the fans got going, but you didn't
Right.
shy away from being part of it when it first happened.
Right.
I've always heard, and I definitely agree with, if people are going to say something bad about you, they're going to say it. In fact, if they're mad, they're definitely going to say it. It might be not comfortable to be in the room, whether that's a digital room or a physical room, when that happens. But if you're in the room, you can become part of the conversation and possibly even part of the solution. If you go away from the room or you won't go there, then you don't have a shot. You've given them total control of the conversation.
Give them the megaphone.
Exactly, exactly. Recently, our company, and I can tell you all this because you're not in my industry for the most part, but if you tell people in my industry, that's okay. One of our products is something that was an acquisition about 10 years ago. It is called ClickEffects. It was the dominant technology for controlling large venues. So if you go in a stadium and you see all the ribbon boards and you see the things at the end of the field, whether it's a Jumbotron or some other manufacturer, or if you're in an indoor arena and there's a center hung and maybe there's other displays in the concourse, ClickEffects would let you, with a single button touch, moment of exclusivity, there's a score, a goal, a touchdown, whatever, sponsored by Coca-Cola, you can light up everything with that sponsor. Or you can put different things on different screens, but it was very easy to use. It had dominant market share. Unfortunately, as often happens when there's an acquisition, investors feel like, oh, we've got this good thing, we don't have to put any money into it. And if any of you know anything about technology, you know that's not true. You have to always be keeping it up to date, making sure it works on the latest platforms, and we didn't. And the result a few months ago was a New Jersey Devils game went dark. They had to stop the game, and it was because of our technology. And the person who was tasked with that product, the person who's been tasked with managing the resurgence of that product, they wanted not to go to a convention that is happening at this very point in time with that industry. But we talked about it, and they're there. So they will be part of that conversation. But we did something interesting before they went, and right after this happened. We did what we called a rude Q&A. We worked with our PR firm, and they came up with the meanest, toughest questions people could ask us, why we were so negligent, why did this happen, what were we going to do about it. And we very thoughtfully, not in a con artist kind of way, but very thoughtfully came up with our answers. So whether I'm asked, whether our PR firm is asked, whether our CEO is asked, anybody in the company, they know now what our plan is. We've made our apologies. We've been very public about it. We've owned up to it. And I think when you do something bad, that's the best you can do, is own up to it. You can't fake your way out of it. Then you're just going to make yourself look worse. And you have to own what you've done.
As a best practice, it really is.
Yeah.
You know, before you enter into any sort of campaign, I will always work with a client and say, what kind of negativity do you think might come from this?
Yeah.
You know, and when you understand your client, you will understand what kind of things you can't expect that someone might say. You know, there's been a lot of talk throughout the last few days about avatars, like creating that vision of what that, you know, that customer is or that user is. And you know, if you say, well, I'm just going to create a negative, you know, Karen acts, you know, kind of character, then you understand that this person might say this, or they may have this reaction, and just preparing yourself with talking points is just a great practice to be in.
Yeah, I think we always have to be prepared, and we can't take anything for granted either. And Cindy, you made a good point the other day when we were exchanging about what was going to happen today as far as trends on the internet. How often do they change in social media? How often do trends change, and should we take for granted that what is is today is going to be a year from now?
Definitely not. In my opinion, I think on social media, the trend probably gets updated every 6 months. I feel like even the Instagram algorithm gets updated every 6 months. So what's trendy now, what people are working today, that would definitely not work maybe even 3 weeks from now. So you always have to pay attention. So it's not about, sometimes when we hire people, it's not always about hiring people with a lot of experience. It's hiring the smart person that can react to what is popular now. And the beauty with digital marketing is once you post an ad up, if it's not well received, either take it down or you can just update the message from the ad. So that's a great thing about digital marketing. However, our agency also do a blend of traditional marketing and also digital marketing, because I think the traditional marketing in our agency is much more like printing posters. There's a longevity in that when there's a print product that people can bring home, they can last longer. However, it takes a lot longer and much more expensive to produce as well.
Yeah. So you have to keep your eyes open and
Yes.
you have to keep your finger on the pulse and always know what's going on. Circling back to something you said earlier, Brian, about how your community came to your defense. Let's talk a little bit more about community building, because that can be digital, but it can be done in a more traditional way as well. How would anybody like to go first about building a community?
Building community?
Yeah.
I think building community depends on what industry you're working in. I think you might want to start with a core message first and see how people react to it. If there's nobody paying attention, then switch, maybe every 3 months, switch the message, see if anybody else would want to follow the new message. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think community building is sometimes that's where we stay on digital at our company, but sometimes it's where we jump back into more traditional. We do have community groups. We do have a CEO roundtable of our key customers. We do have black belts who have achieved a certain level of certification on our technology, and they meet monthly. They give us feedback. They do beta testing. They get first access to things. They get swag, of course. When we go to industry events, we have dinners for people. So all of those face-to-face things that maybe we've always missed on digital, and we've missed a little bit more over pandemic times, I think we've discovered that they're really valuable as well. And I think in that realm, at least community building, neither digital or traditional should stand on its own. Those people that we meet in person, that we take to dinner, they're also interacting with our LinkedIn and other social channels and comment. In fact, we even encourage them to contribute some of their content and influence their followers. So it really is a good blend for us.
I love too what you said about like blending the two, because I think what's lost now, I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way, but I feel like so much of marketing nowadays is boring and it's all the same. And I can't tell you how many times I will just scroll through ads and be like, nope, and I will just completely disregard, sponsored ads on Google. I will get 1 million emails in my inbox a day and I will just get rid of them. And I think as marketers, a lot of people have become far too dependent on digital marketing. I think that there is a miss in people being creative with what they're putting out. That's why I love when you were talking about quality, and I'm like, yes, because what we traditionally think is that this is the way that people like to be engaged with. I do a lot of customer research, and one of my questions is usually, how do you like to hear about products or services like these? Almost nobody says digital ads. No. Some people say social media, but they want to be someone that's actively engaged with that audience already. So it's just interesting in that, like, I think to be a great marketer today is to be a good listener and to reverse engineer it. Like, is this something that I would be interested in, that I would actually stop and like take a look at? Because I ask people all the time, name the last great digital ad or Instagram post you saw. Don't worry, I'll wait. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Sunny. And something else, I think it was you that said this to me the other day, how important it is to have a very simple and definite CTA. If you want them to do something, tell them what it is you want them to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that anymore?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to me because I have a lot of clients when I talk to them about calls to action, and it's like, like contact us or learn more or whatever. And I say this all the time, you have to ask people, like you have to tell them, this is what I want you to do. I want you to buy tickets, I want you to book a call, and I think we try to make it far too, I understand the premise of nobody wants to be sold to, but I think we've become too timid to ask for what we're really looking for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and people can get lost in the journey.
Yeah.
And then we end up sending them things they're not interested in, especially, we use HubSpot at our company, and when I work through, we'll have our ops team, our marketing ops team work on various workflows, and I'll look through and I'll say, well, just because they open that, do they really want that? Or because they open that, maybe we should be jumping right to a webinar or jumping right to sales or what. So we constantly have to be looking at what people actually open, not just what they respond to on social, but what they open, what they click on our website, every interaction that they have with us. We really, that analysis is important, and that's a part I'm still struggling with. I think it's part art, it's part science, it's part black magic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is, but if I can't figure it out in an efficient way, I'll dig in and I'll look at one person's journey and another person's journey and really try to figure out what's going on and what people are responding to.
I think one of the things too I feel really passionately about is like, because I love data and metrics, and I think digital marketing is so great for having that to be able to analyze and trends and all of that. But like, I think we're missing a human component of marketing though in a big way, of just asking our customers what they like. Because when is the last time someone has asked you like, how did you feel about these emails you received, and like had a face-to-face conversation with you? And I think that there is this notion that marketing research has to be expensive or time-consuming or costly. And in fact, it's none of those things. We were talking about SurveyMonkey the other day. You know, Google Forms.
Google Forms.
Yes. I think like, when's the last time that you literally asked your audience what it is they want and what they like and what accounts they think are, you know, if they're in social media based, like what accounts they think are great, or what emails stopped them and made them think, or how they like to get communications from you. You know, I think it's just a big misconnection.
It's not hard to do, is it? And polls on LinkedIn you can do as well. So we're gonna have fantasy time now. Imagine that you have a campaign to do, and you need to present the organization with a budget of how you're going to do this for $1,000, and then a separate budget of how you might do it if they happen to have $100,000, because they haven't decided how much they're going to spend. So what would you do in either of those cases? How would that look different if you had very little money but a little bit versus a pretty significant amount of money? Brian, I see you thinking.
Well, I'm just thinking, man, it'd be amazing if I had a $100,000 budget.
Same.
I'm thinking it'd be great if I had a $1,000 budget for some campaigns and nonprofits. It really just depends on the product. You know, if I'm marketing, you know, a brick and mortar restaurant, that's going to be a lot different than if I'm, doing some promotions and marketing for an arts organization. So it also depends on the public perception of that brand, and when you get into some of the brands that can create a following and really kind of tilt the meter of like what is acceptable and what's not acceptable when it comes to marketing, there are going to be some people that are going to do things better. I mean, I always look at if you haven't seen the Twitter feed for Wendy's or the Twitter feed for Tushy bidets, it's ridiculous. They were talking about Barbie's BH, and they're like, do you think they have one of these in Dreamhouse? Saw that this morning. I'm like, that's a great tweet. So making yourself as more interesting for followers, depending on what your product is, of course, and your tone of voice. But if you have just a small $1,000 budget, you can put that towards some small micro campaigns that run a short period of time and switch them out every few weeks or so. But if you have something that has hundreds of thousands of dollars, then heck yeah, use the tools that are out there digitally. Create I hate to use the word a viral campaign, but get into some guerrilla marketing stuff. Connect with some influencers in the community and see how they can help you achieve a goal. Make it some big public displays, or the world of flash mobs are still around a little bit. Putting these kind of things together to draw some attention to the brand. The sky could be the limit. Just try to think outside the box as much as you can.
So you're going to use that extra money to sort of leverage some of the things that you have going on anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah, awesome. Sunny, what do you think about that?
For some reason, that if I had $1 million song, it just keeps replaying in my head right now. But so for me, on the lower end of budget, which is often what we're faced with as marketers, right? I think I just go back to impact. My biggest thing when I am trying to figure out from a marketing planning perspective of where to spend dollars, what are we looking to achieve, and where am I going to find the biggest impact? And so if I had, let's say, $1,000 from someone and it was a B2B service like my own, could you use that to take out your top 5 clients out to dinner and talk to them about either upselling or referral programs and incentivize those, right? Like, could you get super grassroots in front of the people that are likely to spiral out your business? If it was a product and I did like yoga mats or something like that, or like yoga hair ties, could you go to and use that and maybe do 5 activations at yoga studios? And then you talk about that, it starts getting like, buzz and generation and all of that. And then as you have more funds, you build it around that. As you have more funds, you start building out the traditional campaigns, the digital campaigns, all of that around it. But I think for me, it's how do I break up the monotony here? Like, how do I do something that's going to like get to the heart of the customer and have them experience what it is that I am talking about, that I am interested in, that I want to sell?
Now, something you just said jumped out at me. You said take your top 5 potential clients out to dinner, and that's what you're going to do with that $1,000, if you had $1,000. Was it you I was chatting with the other day about the 20% and the 80%?
Yes.
Yes, I thought so. So do you want to dig into that a little bit more about where are we always looking for the most number of people, or what people are we looking for?
No, I always tell people when I talk about referral programs, I'm like, you don't like all of your clients. I don't like all of my clients sometimes. So I break them up into 1s, 2s, and 3s. My 1s are pie in the sky, dream client. I will take 30 more of them on any given day. My 2s are the people that I'm like, meh, I'd work with them again. And the 3s are my absolutely not, I never want to see this face again. And I feel like you have to think about it from what is going to take your business from here to here, right? Who is going to advocate for your brand? Who never gives you pricing objections for your brand? Who is going to like tell other people and be excited, and you want to be part of the journey with you?
So not just who could use what I have to offer, but who would be a really good client that would add value to my business and my brand.
And who already does.
Yeah.
Right? Those people usually already do. They're already there.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Cindy, I know you've had time now to think about this.
Actually, like, it's surprising we have really similar ideas about like the small budget, because I think similar to you, if I have a small budget, $1,000, that's not quite enough to actually, I guess, sell the concert to somebody else, convince somebody to buy into the concert. I'll probably focus on $1,000 on my existing people that already love our music, love our artists. So I would look for existing clients and look for people that could be your champions, and they're usually look for somebody that's some sort of impact leaders. So they have their own podcast, they have their own community, they have their own following. Take those people out for dinner, buy them small gifts, saying like, hey, we're here, we're having a concert next month. Do you want to talk more about how you can partner with us? So like, take your existing people that champion your ideas out and then build on that. I think $1,000 is just enough to do just that. $100,000, I think personally for my industry, I would love to at least produce a marketing video, because with something like that, that has much more longevity to it, we can take that video and use it like maybe 5 years after and make it look nice. I will probably also buy a billboard in some iconic venue, maybe on maybe the bus stations or in front of billboard in Carnegie Hall. Not to say that the billboard is actually going to make anybody buy the concert, but you're doing that to say that, hey, we have a billboard at this venue, we have a billboard at this location, to say that you have like a billboard there, it's going to add to your brand name, to something to add to your brand name furthermore. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's all kinds of good ideas going on here. And I've been thinking now, I guess it's my turn to answer. In the industry that I'm in is B2B, and so I'm going to imagine that I'm launching a new product that will be useful to my existing customers. It's a technology product. and I only have $1,000, so I guess if I'm gonna strictly stay within those, in that lane, I have no team either. I have no staff that I'm paying in this scenario, so what am I gonna do with that $1,000? First, I would go back to maybe how we started this conversation. Beyond traditional or digital, which is all just tools, the foundation is, what are you going to say? And in my case, that is, what is our product about? How is it better than our competitors? How can our potential customers use it? What is it going to solve for them? So I would make sure I did that. So far, no money except for my own time. I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to research. I'm going to download other people's stuff and try it. I'm going to see how far I can get with that. Then I'm going to craft my key selling points. From that, I'm not going to craft a whole bunch of them. There's going to be between 3 and 5 of them, and I'm going to build each of those out, and whether it's for my own benefit or a potential chat with a potential buyer, I'm going to put all of that in a deck where it's very clear to me, and probably put it somewhere on our website as well. And then, so that I have something stunning to put on digital, not paid, I think I'm going to probably go on Upwork, and I'm going to seek out an animator or a video specialist, and I'm going to see if I can't get a good video made that introduces that product, get it made cheaply. I'm going to look at various people's samples. I'm going to see who aligns with our brand. I'm going to chat with them. Very often you can get somebody who's trying to establish their portfolio and will work maybe a little bit more cheaply than someone who's more established. So I'm going to get a very short video made, and then if I have any money left over, I might boost my social posts a little bit, but I'm not going to do a huge paid budget. And then I'm going to follow up with an email campaign based on any leads I get from that. And many of my social posts would have a CTA that would lead directly to a form that would give me permission to email them. So I'm going to leverage that. And I think that's the route I would go. If I had $100,000, the first thing I would say to myself is, what are you not going to spend this on? I have seen, because many people will take my money. If I have $100,000, many people might even think I have millions. From the emails I get, you'd think I had millions of dollars of various things I could spend it on. But I have seen trade show booths that obviously cost a fortune, and no one was in them except the people standing around looking bored, chatting to each other with their colleagues. I would possibly invest in a trade show presence for that product, but I would do it in a very considered way. Who is going to be there? What kind of lists will I have access to? Who can I scan as a visitor? Who will I actually get permit? Who is going to be there who would actually be a buyer? Or should I do maybe a road show? Should I go on the road and say, I'm going to visit this TV station here and this venue here and this one here, or this university that has a broadcast journalism department, and I want to show you what I've got and take you out to dinner? Would I invest it that way? So I would think very carefully about who I was trying to reach, what their potential was for buying that 20%, what the message they needed to hear was, and what the best way, and I would try to shut out all the noise. It's very easy to spend $100,000, but not always very beneficial. In my industry, I would do press releases free to trade publications. I wouldn't spend any paid media, even print media. I might write an ebook if it came to that, so I'd have some lower funnel content, and that's the route that I would go. We're right at 3 minutes remaining, and there's so much good knowledge right here to my right. And I would love for all of you to have a chance to pick brains if you like. Any questions from the audience?
Thank you. Great panel. My question is on Web3 and digital marketing. I'd love to hear your insights on how are you updating your strategies based on Web3?
Web3?
That's an excellent question. So essentially, we all know that this is coming. I mean, a lot of what we've talked about even at this conference is surrounding like AI and chatbots and all of that. And even now we're talking about the metaverse and what's coming next. I think it's one of those things that keeps me up at night as a marketer of what am I going to do about this? And the best I can say is that we all kind of adapt and change and move in the direction of what's happening technology-wise regardless. So I've stopped putting the pressure on myself of I have to figure everything out, because I think there's going to be a natural progression of that to help understand that. I'm sorry if that doesn't answer your question.
No. That's a good answer. Any other, yes, question?
What do you think is the most cost-effective digital platform to advertise on, and why?
Depends on the product.
It does. Yeah, is it a B2B product, a B2C? Is it e-commerce to consumer?
If depending on how cool the product is, I think is one of the things that I have to kind of pick your brain about, because like TikTok and Instagram can be great, like Snapchat can too, right? But if it's like, I don't know, like a belt buckle or something like that, it might be a little bit more challenging. Do you know what I mean?
It also depends on the demographic you're targeting too. Like Facebook's a bit older than Instagram, and then TikTok's the really young, hip Gen Z, is that what they're called? Yeah. So it depends on the demographic as well.
Any more questions? There's a question.
Hi. For a B2B, what kind of campaign would you recommend for a services organization?
What kind of, I didn't catch. Campaign for a service.
For services, B2B services. So there's no product, it's services.
Yeah.
I would use a tool like Apollo.io to identify my potential customers, and I would craft an email campaign. I would think about what those customers need, what they want. I would certainly have a landing page set up, a place they can go, and then I would craft an email campaign of about 6 emails to them. I would cadence it out not too close, maybe every 2 weeks, so you don't get dinged for spamming people. And then I would have a plan in place for those who respond if they want to come to a webinar to learn about my services. I'm assuming that you're targeting not a very specific regional or one city, more of a national or global audience. Yeah, if it was a city, I might do it a little bit differently. I could go see them. So I would then have lower funnel activities, plan probably some ebook or some thought leadership content to show that you really are an expert and you can help them. I would do it that way.
Personally, I just do a lot more organic. I would probably use LinkedIn for lead gen, and then find the person that's gonna, say if you're selling IT, then you want to look for the CTO of the company. Then add them on LinkedIn. It's going to be a bit longer, but add them on LinkedIn and send them a message so you're not part of the LinkedIn ad message box. Or if you have phone numbers available, call them. Or like, LinkedIn messaging or call them. This is two way I would go, because it's actually, these are really busy people. They may now check their inbox for ads, or check their phone for ads.
Actually, we're out of time now, so thank you so much. Thank you, panel. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Excellent.